So hey guys, it's me Misha. Today we're going to talk about the 5 biggest things that you can learn from your mistakes in filmmaking. And this has been a list that I narrowed down to 5 things that I believe are some of the most overlooked tips and facts of advice that filmmakers on all ends of the spectrum, beginners, professionals, all um, overlook. And we're going to talk about those today. So, the biggest thing I've learned doing filmmaking for about, I think, 12 years now, I've 12 or 11 years of filmmaking, doing everything from commercials to doing professional sports coverage to doing advertisements, short films, feature films, public service announcements, training videos. I've done a slew of things that I'm very proud of. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned in my filmmaking career is it's okay to fail. It's okay to screw up. It's okay to make mistakes. And um, I think this is especially important for people who are just starting out. I feel like people who are just starting out are so afraid that what they're making isn't good enough. And I think this is something that the beginners are just going to have to um, just jump in there, keep doing it, and then eventually they're going to learn then that the only way they're going to improve is by watching their faults. And that's essential to getting better at anything. The second most important tip of advice I've learned in filmmaking is you gotta work with people who you trust, and this can be hard because life is unpredictable. You're gonna have misunderstandings or falling outs with people, and you really can't avoid that. But what I can say is try to find people who you've known for years, people who have seen you go through your highs and lows in your life, people who have stood by your side for thick and thin, and those people are going to help your project succeed the most. My third biggest tip of advice is um, to not be afraid to collaborate. And this is something that I feel like most of the beginners have to learn, but I feel at the same time when you're a professional and you really know a lot of different skills, sometimes you feel like, oh, I can just do this all by myself. And that's not the case. You're always going to have people helping you with certain projects. That's always going to be the case, is because filmmaking is like being on a sports team. You have different people coming together that have different skill sets that are that can be better than what you can do, and that's essential. Is that filmmaking is one of the most collaborated art forms out there, and it doesn't matter how much experience you have, how many times you try to tell yourself that you don't need all these other people helping you. You do. You absolutely need other people helping you make projects, and that's just part of the learning process. I believe the fourth biggest misconception in filmmaking is overlooking audio. I think when filmmakers start out, they're focusing so much on what they're filming and they're not paying attention to what audiences are hearing, and that's very typical. I did that same thing, and so many other beginner filmmakers do that too. I think it's just something that all filmmakers go through, is they're focusing so heavily on the pictures and they want it to look as cinematic as they can, and they don't focus all their attention on the audio at first. But then they learn that the audio is really what stitches your project together. It really is what stitches what the audience sees and makes it sound realistic. And take those paranormal activity movies for example. You have just these low budget cameras shooting these haunted houses and stuff like that, and then they have expert sound engineers and designers putting in better quality sound effects, and that is absolutely true. I believe sound can drastically improve any video that you're doing tenfold. Alright guys, so the fifth and final biggest misconception that I believe in filmmaking, even today, even more than audio, overlooking audio, is editing. And I see this all the time where I see so many talented filmmakers who have the best crews, the best lights, the best sound, the best stories, and it lacks at the very end because the editing isn't good enough. And I believe this is something that people really, even today, still are drastically overlooking. And if you really don't have an experienced editor who really knows how to stitch your movies very well, very skillfully, someone who really understands pacing, the flow, the timing, and just someone who really knows how to marry all those elements together for you at the very end, I feel like editing can just as easily make or break any movie that you're shooting. So I hope you all learned something from this, and I hope these tips help you make less mistakes. Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.